So Doom the Dark Ages is officially launching this week. It's crazy that it's almost here after what feels like forever. And if you can't already tell by my coverage, I am very, very excited for this game. Because of that, today I wanted to run you guys through 5 of the most exciting mechanics this game has to offer that I think are really going to take it to that next level compared to the previous games in the franchise. Now, probably one of the main things that I'm super excited to get my hands on is the shield sword that we saw pretty much instantly in the first ever reveal for this game. It might seem like a pretty small addition, but I think this is going to really impact the gameplay. And having talked about it in some of my previous videos, every time I watch the gameplay through and talk about this, it gets me even more excited. Now, the reason I think it's going to be a bigger addition than just a simple old shield is that, one, in a shooter like this, it's actually pretty rare that we get to run around with a shield. Most shooters don't really have that option, or at least not a physical shield anyway. And so the ability to block some incoming damage with the shield is something that we haven't really always had. And I'm really excited to see how that actually plays in a shooter like Doom. On the other side of it too, though, it isn't just a defensive tool. We've seen a lot of gameplay where this is going to really add to the melee combat, allowing us to be super aggressive up close. Not that you couldn't always kind of do that in Doom. There's obviously always been a lot of cool finishes and stuff like that, but I feel like this is really going to add to the offensive gameplay in that sense as well. Now, we've also seen some gameplay, and it seems like a pretty common thing, that we can essentially roleplay as Captain America, because we see Doomslayer throwing this shield out there, wiping out so many enemies at once, only for it to return back to him, just like it does for Captain America. So I think it's going to be a really great addition to the game. It honestly just looks super fun to use, but I think it will add a lot of depth to both the defensive gameplay, but also that offensive sort of melee combat as well. Now, moving on, something else that is definitely one of the more extravagant elements of this game that we've seen so far is the sort of dragon mount thing that we've seen in a few of the different trailers now. Now, although we don't really know too much about it as of right now, this thing looks absolutely insane, and whether we even get to control it or not, I'm not honestly too sure, but it is still going to certainly add to the cinematics of the game and make it look and feel super immersive. Now, my guess though is that we will actually get to control it. The gameplay that we've seen, it doesn't look like this is on rails and it's just part of like a single mission or anything like that. And so it seems as though we can legitimately just fly this thing around as if it is genuinely a mount and not part of just like a specific mission in the game. So this is something I'm really keen to see more of and actually get my hands on it. Like I said, we don't know too much about this as of right now. They've been pretty vague in the lead up to launch talking about this mount. In fact, they've essentially hardly talked about it at all except for in the trailers, though I know there is a bit of content coming out from some of the content creators who are currently playing the game that by the time this video is up, we may know a little bit more. So I am very keen to learn more about this thing, but from what we've seen so far, it honestly looks very, very cool already. Now, before we go any further, if you guys are new to the channel and you're interested in more Doom the Dark Ages content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There is plenty more on the way, so make sure you don't miss out. Now, speaking of the more extravagant stuff in the game, the next thing on the list is equally as extravagant as the dragon mount that I just mentioned, and this is what they're referring to as the demon mech. Now, this thing is absolutely massive. The devs have confirmed this thing is apparently about 30 stories tall. So it seems like it is bigger than I even expected from seeing it in the trailer, and it looks like it's going to really transform the gameplay, which I am very excited for. Now, they have also confirmed it has its own set of abilities and some different weapons as well. So like I've mentioned in some previous videos, this isn't going to be just some gimmicky little mission that's on rails, similar to what I said about the dragon mount. This seems like it is a fully fleshed out different way for us to play the game. Now, in what capacity that is, I'm honestly not too sure. This one definitely seems like it is going to be more to do with specific missions that we can actually use it in, rather than what could potentially happen with that dragon mount is that we could actually maybe call it in certain levels and almost use it like an actual mount. So I don't think that'll happen with the demon mech. It feels like this is more set for some specific missions, but they have also confirmed it will be available more than once. So this isn't just going to be one mission. We will get to use this thing more than once, which I am definitely very excited for because it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Now, something else that is very exciting to me is that they have confirmed the game is a little bit more open world, or realistically more open zone, than the previous games in the franchise. franchise, meaning that there is a lot more freedom to how we play the game. It's not going to be a purely linear story where we just go from A to B doing what the game tells us and shooting the enemies along the way. We are going to have a say in how we actually approach each level. They have confirmed that you can essentially complete objectives in any order that you want, at least once you have entered that level. Anyway, keep in mind, it's obviously not a full-on open world game. The term that is generally used for this type of game is more open zone. So you'll get to a mission or, you know, the next level, and that little level is essentially open world, but it's not a full open world map. So it's not like we can do any objective we want in any order. It's more that once we get to a certain level, maybe there'll be 3 objectives that we have to do, but instead of having to do them in order 1 through 3, maybe you can go 3, 1, and 2, and essentially just do it however you want. So that is really exciting to me. I'm keen to see how that actually plays out in a game like this. I've seen it fail pretty miserably in some other games. For example, games like Call of Duty have tried this and it really didn't work, but to me, it definitely seems a lot more suited to a game like Doom compared to Call of Duty. So I'm hoping it goes really well. And I do think that that freedom is going to be something that most people will hopefully enjoy. Now, last but definitely not least, something I'm very excited for, especially as someone who really enjoys games with some more difficult combat, especially the more like melee sword fighting type of combat, for example, is that this game is going to have the inclusion of parries as well as dashes, which they've sort of had dashes in the previous games, but the addition of a parry is going to really change up the gameplay on top of what I already mentioned before about that shield sword. Now, the addition of the parry to that sort of makes it feel as though they are kind of going all in on that melee combat. Obviously, it's a shooter, so the gunplay type of combat will always be the priority, but it feels like they're really buying into the melee side of it to add some depth to that combat. Being able to parry is just going to add a whole other level to it, being able to like stun enemies and leaving them open for easier kills, whether that is with the shield sword or whether you parry someone, then step back a little bit and use your gun. I think it's just going to really open up that gameplay, and it does seem to really fit that more medieval vibe that they're going for in this game as well. So personally, as a big fan of games like a lot of the FromSoft games, for example, where parrying is such a crucial element, it's fair to say I am very, very excited to try this out. I don't know if I've really ever played a shooter, at least none that come to mind, that have a parry system in them. Generally speaking, shooters don't go hand in hand with a shield and a parry. So I'm really keen to see how that all goes. And from the gameplay and stuff that we've seen, it definitely looks very, very fun to me. But that is it for 5 of the most exciting mechanics that they are adding to Doom: The Dark Ages. I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts on these down below. Let me know which of these is the most exciting to you guys. I'm keen to read through all of your thoughts. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.